Come back to order, please.
Yes, our dog talking.
So we're going to adjust our schedule a little bit. Let's talk to Mr. Reynolds. So here to present our next item is Mr. Reynolds. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to appoint Robert Carr, Michael Pratt, Ken Viersen, Stephen Kerbel, Randall Yonker, Cindy Coster to the Berry County Remonumentation Peer Review Board, and to authorize the chairperson to sign the attached 2019 peer review agreements for state reimbursement.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Parker, second by Smelker. Mr. Reynolds, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to Commissioner Wing for rearranging the agenda here to allow me to get in a little bit early. I love to sit here and watch the wheels turn, but I do have other things to do as well. The contracts are the same as they were last year. They're the same as they have been for the last 4 years. 4 years ago, we changed the way we did contracts to have a renewable contract for 5 years. This year, we're asking you to approve the last year of a 5-year, renewal of a 5-year contract. The contract companies are the same as they have been for the last 4 years, and so I just don't know what controversy there could be about that. In terms of the peer group, there is one new member of the peer group. Cindy Coster is from the same company as Jack Behe, Jack has been on the peer group from the very beginning in 1993. Jack is getting on in years now. He's in his mid-80s, and he thinks it might be time to slow down, and so he's passing the responsibility for the peer review off to Cindy Coster, and I've known Cindy for years and years, and she will make a very good peer review member as well. I'm here to answer any questions you might have. I don't imagine there's going to be much in the way of questions.
So you're asking us to reapprove a renewal of remonumentation for reimbursement. We're just
Lots of re's there.
Yeah, okay, sure, yeah.
I can't see anything controversial either.
Okay.
So is there any other questions for Brian? All right, seeing none. The committee, the question before the committee is to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to appoint Robert Carr, Michael Pratt, Ken Viersen, Stephen Kerbel, Randall Yonker, Cindy Coster to the Berry County Remonumentation Peer Review Board, and to authorize the chairperson to sign the attached 2019 peer review agreements for state reimbursements. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Item is approved. Stay right where you are, Brian.
And
Next item on our agenda is the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the attached monumentation surveyor agreements between the County of Berry and Brian Reynolds, DBA Reynolds Land Surveying and Mapping PC, Aero Land Survey, Pathfinder Engineering Inc., Crane Land Survey, Carr and Associates LLC, Excel Engineering, and Yonker Land Surveys PC for the 2019 contract year.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Gibson, support by Connor. Any questions?
I think that's fine.
Move these wheels of government.
Thank you very much.
Well, we got a vote for you. So there being no further discussion, the question before the committee is to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the attached monumentation surveyor agreements between the County of Berry and Brian Reynolds, DBA Reynolds Land Surveying and Mapping PC, Aero Land Survey, Pathfinder Engineering Inc., Crane Land Survey, Carr and Associates LLC, Excel Engineering, and Yonker Land Surveys PC for the 2019 contract year. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The item is approved.
And thank you again.
Thank you, sir.
Tough vote.
All righty. So We will go back to where we were in our agenda. We got a message from Candace Smith that she wouldn't be here for the opportunity to interview today. So we will proceed with where we were. So at this time, the chair would entertain a motion to conduct interviews and, if desired, recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to reappoint 2 citizens to serve on the Berry County Animal Shelter Advisory Board in citizen-at-large positions for a 1-year term that began on 1/1/19 and expires on 12/31/19. And to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to reappoint a citizen to serve on the Berry County Animal Shelter Advisory Board in a citizen-at-large position for a 2-year term that began on 1/1/19 and it expires on 12/31/20.
After what we're second for the purposes of discussion.
Jackson, motion made by Jackson, second by Geiger. Discussion.
So, is there a specific reason that we need to vote on conducting interviews?
No, but that's the way that my specific action was written. So, having not had a motion previously on occasions, I chose to read it that way. So now we have Barbara Scott for an interview.
Yeah, that works.
Good morning. Morning. Why don't you take a few minutes to introduce yourself to the board and explain to us why you're interested in serving on the Animal Shelter Advisory Board?
Okay. My name is Barbara Scott. I was born and raised in Hastings. I have served on the board about 3 years ago. I did a 1-year term. I do volunteer and work at the animal shelter. I'm a graduate of U of M. I've had several careers, but my last one was 18 years with Hastings Mutual settling auto claims. And now I'm retired and enjoy spending time at the shelter. I believe that our spay and neuter program is very important, and also I think the way a community treats sick and abandoned animals says a lot about the community.
Thank you. Commissioner Jackson will start for us.
Okay.
Hi there, how you doing, Barbara?
And you two should.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for your application and thank you for your volunteer work at the shelter because we do get applicants that aren't that well acquainted with the shelter and what they do, and we appreciate your service on the board a few years ago. And I know in talking with Ken and Tammy, you've put a lot of effort and energy into the shelter and making that improvement in a great place, for pets. So I'd certainly appreciate your service. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything, as you've got that front row experience, anything you'd like to see or that you could see us making improvements on with the shelter?
Since Ken came on board, we have made so many improvements that it would just be great if we could keep going in that direction.
You're thinking maybe we should keep Ken around a little while longer?
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Also, we'd like to raise more money to do more spay and neuters. That's always a problem, getting enough grants for the trap, neuter, and release program. There's a great demand, and it's constant fundraising to get that money.
It is constant, but I don't have any questions for you, but like I said, I appreciate your service and everything
Thank
you've
you.
brought to the shelter.
Commissioner Conner.
Thank you. Thank you for your application, Barbara. Are you Nellie?
Oh, no, the computer made up that name.
Oh, okay.
It's based on my password, but no, my name
all
isn't
right.
Nellie.
Okay, I was like, oh, I got an email from a Nellie Scott, so. But thank you for applying. It's a great resume. Thank you for being on the board before and wanting to be on it again. I appreciate that.
I think we can get more done this time.
Good.
with the-
I don't have any questions.
Commissioner Parker.
No, I don't have any questions. I really appreciate the fact that you've been there and want to come back. That tells me some good things about what you're about. And I think that that perspective, too, of being gone might be helpful also to the shelter, too. So thank you very much for applying.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Geiger.
Thank you for applying. We appreciate anybody that steps up and gives back to the county, and we're very thankful that you have been such a great member of the animal shelter community. So I only have one question. The Board of Commissioners recently started a training program for board members that are appointed to advisory boards, and it's offered a couple of times a year. I was just wondering if we appoint you to the Animal Shelter Advisory Board, would you be willing to go to a workshop?
Sure, no problem.
Perfect. Thank you.
Commissioner Smelker.
No questions. Thank you very much for applying.
Commissioner Gibson.
No questions. Thanks for applying. Thanks for all you do.
Thank
I
you
see
for
you down there.
Thank you for working with our shelter board in the past, and thanks for applying for this opening.
Thank you.
Next, we will interview Patricia Robinson. Patricia here?
I didn't see her.
All righty then. Moving right along. I'm right on time for her interview. If she comes, we'll try to catch her later. How about Patricia, is it Geyer? Good morning. Take a few minutes to introduce yourself and let us know why you're interested in being on the Animal Shelter Advisory Board.
My name is Pat Geyer. I live in Freeport. I have lived there for almost 30 years in Berry County. I have been a volunteer at the animal shelter for almost 2 years. Have enjoyed the work there, the people there. I feel I'm doing a good service to the county and to the people and the animals that are there.
Commissioner Jackson.
Morning, Patricia.
Good morning.
Appreciate your application, and again, we appreciate your volunteer efforts and your service to the shelter. That's a valuable service, and the volunteer hours that go through there is amazing. When I look at 800 to 1,000 hours a month sometimes that go in there, it's quite a task. So we appreciate that. And I'll ask you the same question as far as your experience on the front line with the shelter. Is there anything that you could see for an improvement or areas that we could work on to make that more user-friendly, more outreach in the community?
You know, there's been a big change in the last little over a year since Ken has come on board at the shelter. Very good things. Like Barb, I hope we keep going in that direction. Anything specific? I can't think of anything real specific other than, of course, the grant money and monies raised for the spay and neuter program. That's a big issue.
It is a big issue. Well, thank you for your application.
Commissioner Geiger.
Thank you for your application and your willingness to serve. We have a lot of opportunities in this county government for people like you, and we couldn't do the things that we do here without people stepping up, so thank you. I just have one question. You probably heard it before. We have a workshop for new board appointees to our citizen advisory boards. And if appointed, would you be willing to attend one of those workshops?
Absolutely, I would love to.
Perfect.
That's all I have. Thank you for applying.
Commissioner Smelker.
No questions. Thank you very much for applying, Patricia.
Gibson.
Have you attended any of their meetings yet?
No, I have not.
Thanks for applying.
Sure.
Commissioner Connor.
Thank you. Thanks for your application and your volunteer work at the shelter. I just have one question. Have you ever been on a board before?
No, I have not.
Thank you very much for all your work.
And to round it out, Commissioner Parker.
Yes, thanks for applying. You mentioned that there's been several changes. What are some of the changes that you appreciate there?
There's been a lot of more organizing. The shelter has become more, it's cleaner. It's a cleaner place for the animals. Some of the kennels have been improved upon as far as better security for the public and for the staff and volunteers as well. There is an outbuilding at the shelter. It's the barn, and that's been converted to training for the employees and for the volunteers, and that's been a great thing. And I know Ken has more plans for the shelter as well.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're
It's good to
welcome.
hear that.
I don't have any questions for you, but thanks for applying. Is Patricia Robinson here? Okay. Good morning.
Hello.
Take a few minutes to introduce yourself to the board and explain to us why you'd like to be appointed to the advisory committee.
I'm Patricia Robinson from Delton. I was on the board for 2 years and missed the application or the reapplying when it came through. I've enjoyed being part of that process and being more involved in the county as far as the animal programs are concerned. I think I've been part of 4-H, part of the school district in Berry County. I have a lot of contacts through both horse showing and dog showing, so both small animal and large animal. I'm on the other end of the county as opposed to Hastings and Northern, so individuals in that area have a tendency to touch base with me and know that I feel comfortable contacting law enforcement if needed so that they can follow up on issues. I think that's about it.
Okay. Commissioner Jackson.
Good morning, how are you?
Morning, good.
Good to see you again.
You too.
Patricia, have you been actively involved as far as doing any work or any volunteer work at the animal shelter at this point?
No, it kind of fell in times, the activity portions were always just at the point where I was either going to a dog show or a horse show. But I've followed through on Facebook, and I think that's been a really positive thing. Contact with Ken, and I'm available when volunteer things are needed, if I can arrange my schedule for it. But I follow very closely what's going on, and don't mind volunteering. I'm hoping that they do let everybody on the advisory committee board participate in some of the training that they're doing there. I think that would go a long way to familiarizing everybody with what's available.
Yeah, and kind of the same question, with your experience with the shelter and in the area and working with animals in this area, are any areas of improvement or anything that you'd like to see happen at the shelter as far as advancing our cause, our outreach in the community?
I think that we're really on a roll moving forward. As Patricia mentioned earlier, it has really undergone a major change in the community outreach. It's a safer, I've gone in a couple times just to familiarize myself with what it looks like. It is a cleaner place, it's a more welcoming place. I think that things are being utilized better. Foods that are brought in for the animals, the spay and neutering programs, the fact that they're really pushing the Bissell program for adoption. So I think moving forward in those directions are really good.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Commissioner Connor.
Thank you for your application. Sounds like you lead a very, very busy life. So with all your work at your animal shows and stuff. I don't have any, I remember your interview from a couple years ago, so, or maybe a little
Yep,
longer,
yep.
but thanks for your applying again.
Thank you.
Commissioner Parker.
No questions at all. Thank you for volunteering and applying.
Commissioner Geiger.
Thank you for applying, and thank you for your passion for service in this county. Has not gone unnoticed. I only have one question. We have a workshop set up for appointees of our boards and commissions. A lot of useful stuff there. Would you be willing to go to a workshop if we appointed you?
Definitely. I think that that's a really good idea for us, anybody, even if I didn't get accepted. I think anybody going onto a board, having a workshop, really familiarizes yourself with what's gone in the past and what's coming in the future. So I think that that's a very good idea.
Well, I think that's a very good answer. Thank you for your time.
Commissioner Smoker.
No questions. Thank you for applying.
And Gibson.
No questions. Thanks for applying.
Thank you for your time today. We'll be making a decision before the meeting's over
Okay.
to at least make a recommendation to the board. So, alrighty. So we do have a motion to the board, and we did the interviews, and now how do we want to proceed? We have two different positions. Well, we actually have three. One is a 2-year term, and 2 are 1-year terms.
Do we need a motion for a slate? Do we need a motion for individuals?
I think,
Should we get the individuals before we do the choice?
Get the individuals?
Should we pick them
Three
before
and
we
then
Pick three
pick
and
which
then-
one
pick them and then
for
pick the years?
Term and one.
I
Pick
think
them and then
that's
pick the years?
We could just do a slate. I'm ready to make a
Well,
motion.
we still have to decide who's going to have the 1-year term and who's going to have the 2-year term.
I would do that on my motion, but that's
Okay.
all right.
Dave, just.
I would make a motion to have Nancy Kinney a 1-year term, Barbara Scott a 1-year term, Patricia Geyer 2-year term.
Support.
So it's been moved and supported to appoint, looking for my names,
Nancy Kinney.
Nancy Kinney and Barbara Scott to serve on the Berry County Animal Shelter Advisory Board in a citizen-at-large position for 1-year terms that begin on 1/1/19 and expire on 12/31/19. Motion made by Smelker, supported by Gibson.
You left that one. You mentioned that one too.
For
And
the
then
2-year term.
to recommend to the Board of Commissioners to appoint Patricia Geyer to serve on the Berry County Animal Shelter Advisory Board in a citizen-at-large position for a 2-year term that begin on 1/1/19 and expires on 12/31/20.
I'll
Is there
second
any
that.
discussion?
Did you already get a second?
Gibson
Oh, sorry, thank you.
seconded both of those. Is there any discussion?
I would just like to say that it's awesome that this board has struggled to fill those open seats with quality candidates in my 3+ years on the board. And I know before that, so when we have 5 outstanding candidates, it does make this process a lot harder. Because Patricia Robinson's been an excellent member, and I hope that she'll continue to be involved in it. But looking at Nancy and Barbara and Patricia's service to the board and their connection to the board, I also love their energy and the time that they'll have to help that board too. So, I mean, we have great choices, and it's sad that we don't have 5 seats, but there's not a wrong decision here with who we appoint, so.
I agree with that.
I would like to make a statement. We have other boards that we don't get any applicants for. I wish these people would look at those other boards that are listed in the paper and give some consideration for putting in for some of those positions? We have positions that nobody applies for.
If I could, Madam Chair. Part of the reason that we started the appointments reform plan last year was because of the same thing that Hoop mentions, that sometimes we have people, more applicants than we do have seats, but we still have vacancies. So hopefully this year we can have a different form for people to fill out so they can have other choices or ask to be considered for other appointments. So it's something I'm sure you've seen over all the years that you've served, but I think things are getting better in terms of appointments, and hopefully we can continue that.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, the question before the committee is to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to appoint Nancy Kinney and Barbara Scott to serve on the Berry County Animal Shelter Advisory Board in citizen-at-large positions for a one-year term that began on 1/1/2019 and expires on December 31st, 2019, and to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to appoint Patricia Geyer to serve on the Berry County Animal Shelter Advisory Board in a citizen-at-large position for a two-year term that began on 1/1/19 and expires on 12/31/20. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The item is approved. I guess I don't have to do that until next week's meeting.
You can do it whenever you want.
Oh, no, that's not always polite. Thank you, Commissioner Smelker. All righty. Now, here to present our next item, Mr. Smelker is excused for the rest of the meeting. The chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to reappoint David Jackson to the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority for a three-year term beginning on 1/1/19 and expiring on 12/31/2021.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Gibson, support by Jackson.
Madam Chair, if there's no objection from the committee, I'd like to roll up all of the 4 appointments into one motion.
I would rather do them one at a time.
All right, I withdraw my request.
Okay. So is there any discussion on this appointment? Just a little history. When we looked at the list of our committee assignments, my name was still on there as the Brownfield Development, in which you were appointed to it a year or so ago. And we just wanted to clean up that list and make sure that the right people were on the committee on our list. Since you work so closely with the Brownfield Authority through the economic development, we felt it was the best fit. So we just had to adjust it on our list. So any further discussion? Ugh. All right, the motion was made by Gibson, supported by Jackson, to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to reappoint Dave Jackson to the Brownfield Development Authority for a 3-year term beginning January 1/19 and expiring on December 31st, 2021. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The item is approved. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to reappoint Craig Stolzenberg to serve in the position of citizen at large and David Jackson to serve in the position of county commissioner on the Berry County Tax Allocation Board for a 1-year term that begins on April 1st, 2019 and expire on March 31st, 2020.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Connor, second by Parker. Discussion.
David, you're on that board. Does you guys attend all the meetings? I mean, you and
Yes.
And
Yeah,
Craig?
It's 3 meetings, typically on about a 45-day cycle to review the taxes and the setup and that thing.
so you guys have never missed a meeting then?
Never missed a meeting.
Good job.
It's the quickest meetings I go to. They're well-run.
Good.
Any other questions,
No.
discussions? Seeing none, there being no further discussion, the question before the committee is to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to reappoint Craig Stolzenberg to serve in the position of citizen at large and David Jackson to serve in the position of county commissioner on the Berry County Tax Allocation Board for a one-year term that begins on April 1st, 2019 and expires on March 31st, 2020. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Item is approved. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to approve to reappoint Jack Ned Warnick to serve on the Berry County Planning Commission for a 3-year term that begins on May 1st, 2019 and expires on April 30th, 2022.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Jackson, support by Geiger. Discussion.
Ben, has Jack attended all the meetings?
I don't, he hasn't attended all of them, but he's a very smart planning commissioner, and he's a business owner. So he brings a lot of good insight from that. We need him on the board.
I echo those comments too. I know Jack, and he's an astute guy. He's got a good head for that type of planning and zoning, so I would support that.
I'm not going to support it. I wish he was here to ask questions. I understand he doesn't have to be here, so I'm not faulting him for that at all. And but I just
I had to ask the question because I don't want to vote for somebody that doesn't show up.
Right.
That's why I asked.
right. But we've had some issues with some things that were approved on Planning Commission. I've got residents blowing up my email, and I'm not faulting them for that either. But they've been very vocal about the Planning Commission in my district. So I'm going to have to vote no on this because of a couple of decisions that were made.
Commissioner Parker?
I have no questions.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before the committee is to the approval to reappoint Jack Nordwick, Ned Warnick. I'll get it.
You want to say Van Ortwick, but it's
No,
Jack
Ned Warnick, to serve on the Berry County Planning Commission for a 3-year term that begins May 1st, 2019 and expires on April 30th, 2022. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
The item is approved. Here we go again. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to reappoint Don Bowers and Ruth Perino to serve on the Berry County Community Mental Health Authority Board for 3-year terms that begin on April 1st, 2019 and expire on March 31st, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Jackson, second by Parker. Discussion.
I'm on that board, and he does attend all the meetings, so, and he does bring some good dialogue to the meetings.
Same with Ruth Perino.
Same with Ruth?
Ruth also, I think she's missed one meeting last year. But they're both pretty competent at the meetings, attending and everything.
Any other questions? Seeing no further discussion, the question before the committee is to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to reappoint Don Bowers and Ruth Perino to serve on the Berry County Community Mental Health Board for 3 years, for 3-year terms that begin on April 1st, 2019 and expire on March 31st, 2020. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Item is approved. All righty, here we go.
Want to take a break, or?
Yeah, let's take 5, because this one could take a while.
Gotta move.